Hi everyone, I am Teja. I am currently entering into a medical college. So I am making this video to teach about digestion and absorption, which is from the class 11 NCRT, especially for the Neet aspirants, right? So I covered all the points from the NCRT. So now we can go into the introduction of this in this chapter. So food. Food is a basic requirement of all living organisms. Why food is a basic requirement of all living organisms? Because it provides organic materials, it provides energy and all, right? Without food, we can't be able to live consistently for 10 days, right? For 1 or 2 days, we can be able to live without food. But for consistently 5 to 6 days, it is not possible, right? And major component of foods are fats, proteins and carbohydrates. Fats, proteins and carbohydrates, because carbohydrates provides energy and proteins are the one which builds the body. Like for example, muscles are the main important component of the body, where muscles are made up of proteins. And fats are important components of skin, areolar tissue and adipose tissue, and even liver contains a lot of fats, right? Vitamins and minerals are required in small quantities. Vitamins and minerals is also an important component of food, because minerals are needed to make chemicals in our body, right? Because our body makes a lot of chemicals, there we need the source. The source is nothing but the minerals, which comes from the food. And vitamins are important for enzymatic actions. Without enzymatic actions, we can't be able to produce a chemical, right? So enzymatic reactions are very much important for metabolic processes to happen in our body. So vitamins play an important role. Where it comes from the food. It provides energy and organic materials for growth and repair of tissues. Of course, food provides energy and organic materials. For example, if you have some sort of breakdown in our body and the organic material need to be present to replace that part, right? So where it comes from the food. Now comes to the water. It prevents dehydration and plays an important role in metabolic processes. Why it's an important thing in metabolic process in the sense? Because cell is nothing but a fluid matrix, right? Cell is nothing but a water. There many chemical components are present, cell organelles are present. Cell organelles are just floating in the floating in the water. So it's the metabolic process mainly occurs in the cell, right? So when the metabolic process occurs in the cell, it occurs mainly in the water. So the water provides a medium for the metabolic reactions to happen. Okay, now we can talk about biomacromolecule. So biomacromolecule cannot be utilized directly in original form. It needs to be broken down into simple substance in digestive system, because body cannot be able to utilize it, in the sense it cannot be able to absorb the macromolecule because it is in a larger quantity, right? So it cannot be utilized in the original form. The sense carbohydrate, fats and proteins are the biomacromolecule, which we have studied in the biomolecules chapter, right? The process of conversion of complex food substance into simple absorbable form is called digestion. Digestion is nothing but the complex food substance is converted into the simple food substance is known as digestion. Just breaking down of the complex food substance. And it is carried out by the digestive system through mechanical and biochemical method. Mechanical in the sense churning out of the stomach, movement of the intestines, through this like chewing the food. These are all the mechanical way. And biochemical method like secretion of saliva to break down the carbohydrate into carbohydrate into maltose, right? Starch into maltose, and secretion of lot of juices from the intestine and stomach for breaking down the biomacromolecule into the simple absorbable forms, right? So these are all about the introduction of the chapter. So now we talk about digestive system, which consists of alimentary canal and the associated glands. So alimentary canal is nothing but a passage of food into our body. So it starts from the mouth where the food enters and it ends in the anus where the food goes out of the body. And associated glands where the food doesn't enter into it, but it is very important for secretion of some sort of enzymes and juices for breakdown of foods, right? Now we talk about alimentary canal. Anterior opening of the alimentary canal is mouth and posterior opening of the alimentary canal is anus. Anterior is nothing but the upper side of the body, and posterior is nothing but the lower part of the body. So anterior portion, mouth is present, therefore anterior opening is mouth, and posterior is the lower portion, therefore the posterior opening is anus. After the mouth leads to oral cavity and buccal cavity. So after mouth, oral cavity and buccal cavity is present. So mouth leads to oral cavity and buccal cavity. Oral cavity or buccal cavity. So both are equal. Mouth leads to oral cavity or buccal cavity. So after mouth, oral cavity or buccal cavity will come. So food enters through the mouth. It's just the opening, and it enters into oral cavity or buccal cavity. Oral cavity consists of teeth and muscular organ, tongue. So it consists of teeth and organ. Teeth is nothing but a plural form of tooth. Tooth is only one tooth, and teeth is a number of tooth, right? So now we talk about the teeth. Each tooth embedded in socket of jawbone. This type of attachment is called thecodont. Thecodont is nothing but the teeth. Each set of tooth is embedded in the jawbone. How we can compare it is like while you are charging a phone, you are just plugging into the socket, electric socket, right? That in the similar way, our tooth is embedded in the jawbone like a socket, like the charger is embedded in the electric socket, right? Majority of the mammals, including human beings, form two sets of teeth, which is temporary deciduous teeth, and it is replaced by permanent or adult teeth. So this type of dentition is called as diphyodont. See, there are two sets of teeth, and not only human beings, majority of the mammals like cheetah, tiger, elephant, everything comes under the mammalian class, right? So they too have the diphyodont. Diphyodont is two sets of teeth. So first, initially after 6 months or around 1 year of after the birth of a baby, we have temporary milk or deciduous teeth, and after several years, it is replaced by permanent or adult teeth. So adult human have 32 permanent sets of teeth. Then what about the infants? It has 20 sets of teeth, right? And 32 permanent sets of teeth, it has been divided into four different types. So this type of dentition is known as heterodont dentition. Hetero means different, right? So there are four different types, therefore it is a heterodont dentition, not a monodont dentition. Monodont means every teeth is the same type, but it is not like that. Each tooth is different. Some sets of tooth are equal, some sets of tooth are different, right? So what are the sets of tooth? Incisor, which we are representing it as I, and canine, we are representing it as C, and premolar, we are representing it as PM, and molar, we are representing it as M. So incisor, canine, premolar, molar are the different types of teeth sets which we have present, right? And the arrangement of teeth in each half of the upper jaw and half of the lower jaw. If we divide our mouth into two parts, and half of the upper jaw and half of the lower jaw, and this half of the upper jaw and half of the lower jaw is represented by the dental formula 2123, 2123, and the order for 2123 is IC, same order like this, ICPM. So two incisor which is present upper jaw, half of the upper jaw, and canine, one canine, and two premolar and three molar which is present in the upper half of the upper jaw of the mouth, right? So this is the dental formula. But this is for an adult human, not for an infant. For an infant it is 2102. So premolar is not a diphyodont, it is a monodont because it is not present in temporary or deciduous teeth. Next, hard chewing surface of teeth is made up of enamel and helps in the mastication of food. The outer surface of the teeth is an enamel, which is a hard chewing surface where our food is get chewed, right? It helps in chewing of the food. It helps in the mastication of food because the hard surface helps to masticate the food, right? And that hard surface is made up of enamel, right? So these are all about the teeth. So now we are going to talk about the tongue. The tongue is nothing but a freely movable muscular organ. So why it should be freely movable? So if it is not a freely movable, we can't be able to talk, right? At the same time, it helps to mixing up of the saliva and the grinded food. The food is grinded by the teeth, and the tongue helps in mixing up of the saliva and the food to make a bolus, right? Because without that, we can't be able to engulf the food, and the starch content which is present in the food is not converted to the maltose, because saliva has an enzyme which converts the starch into maltose, right? And the tongue is attached to floor of oral cavity by frenulum. See, it is attached to floor of the oral cavity by frenulum. When you touch the tongue into the palate, it is an upper floor of the oral cavity. You come to notice a kind of attachment which is present between the tongue and the floor of the lower floor of the oral cavity. That is nothing but the frenulum. And see, tongue is a muscular organ. In a sense, it is movable, right? That's why we are saying it is a muscular organ. In our body, the movement is solely due to the muscles. Nothing else will move. Only muscles in the body are capable of movement, right? Upper surface of the tongue has small projection called papillae. So have a mirror. Upper surface of tongue has small projection called papillae, and some of the papillae bears taste buds. So when you let your mouth open in front of the camera and put your tongue out, you see some sort of small projections. It's nothing but a papillae. And not all the papillae have taste buds, only some of the papillae have taste buds. Taste buds is nothing but a nerves which detect the taste in the food. So when a certain type of taste, for example sweet is detected by some group of nerves. So when that sweet is detected, the signal is sent to the brain cortex, and it processes it, and the brain will process the information from the nerve signal, and it will detect, okay, the food has sweet taste, right? So we already talked about the oral cavity before 2 to 3 minutes. So now we are going to talk about the short pharynx. So after food entered into the oral cavity, it leads to the short pharynx. A pharynx is nothing but a common passage for food and air. Both breathing as well as swallowing of the food is taken place inside the pharynx. So it carries the air as well as the food, right? So from the pharynx, there are two pathways are going away. One is for food and another one is for air. And for air, it is a windpipe. Windpipe is also known as trachea. And for food, it is an esophagus. So from pharynx, there are two pathways are being divided. One is for air and another one is for food. For food, it is an esophagus, and for air, it is a windpipe. Windpipe is also known as trachea. So esophagus and trachea opens into pharynx. Both opens into the common passage for food and air, that is known as the pharynx. So during swallowing, epiglottis, that is known as a cartilaginous flap, which prevents the entry of food into glottis, the opening of the windpipe. So when we are swallowing the food, or when we are swallowing some sort of liquid, right, a cartilaginous flap is present in the glottis. Glottis is nothing but the opening of the windpipe. Opening of the windpipe is known as glottis, and in the glottis, a cartilaginous flap is there. When you are swallowing some sort of fluid or else a food, it just closes the glottis. So why? Because it prevents entering of food or the liquid material into the windpipe. Otherwise, it will damage your lungs, right? So to prevent from that, the epiglottis will close the glottis, right? So these are all about the pharynx. So now we are going to talk about esophagus. Esophagus is nothing but thin long tube which extends posteriorly through neck, thorax, diaphragm and leads to stomach. See, esophagus is nothing but a food pipe which extends from the pharynx to the stomach, right? Right after the pharynx, where the food pipe starts, only the food will enter into it, and it starts from neck, and it goes to thorax, it passes through diaphragm, then it enters into the stomach, which is a J-shaped bag, right? And a gastroesophageal sphincter which regulates opening of esophagus into stomach. A sphincter is present, which is a muscular sphincter present between the stomach and the esophagus, opening of the esophagus into the stomach, which regulates the content of esophagus into the stomach, right? It also regulates the stomach contents into the esophagus. So let us now talk about the esophagus. Esophagus is nothing but a thin long tube which extends posteriorly through neck, thorax, diaphragm and leads to stomach, which is a J-shaped bag. So it is nothing but it is a food pipe, it is a tube which extends from the pharynx to the stomach, right? And it passes through the neck, thorax and passes through the diaphragm, then leads to stomach. It ends in the stomach. And there is a gastroesophageal sphincter, which is a muscular sphincter, regulates the opening of the esophagus into stomach. Though in the junction of the esophagus and stomach, a muscular sphincter is present. That's known as a gastroesophageal sphincter, and it regulates the opening of the esophagus into the contents of the esophagus into the stomach, right? And esophagus extends posteriorly, in the sense posteriorly that means it is getting down, right? From the anterior to the posterior side, it is getting down, lower part of the body to the stomach. That's why they have given posteriorly. The word is very important, right? So this is about the esophagus. So now we are going to talk about the stomach. Stomach is nothing but a J-shaped bag-like structure where it stores food for some time for breakage of the food into the simpler substance, right? So it is a J-shaped bag-like structure. It is located in the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity. See, upper body, we have a trunk and the head, right? We have trunk, neck and head. This is the upper portion of the body. In the trunk region, we have two cavities. One is the thoracic cavity and another one is the abdominal cavity. In the thoracic cavity, we have lungs, heart, thymus gland and all. Even esophagus, diaphragm, everything comes under the thoracic cavity. In abdominal cavity, we have a digestive system, excretory system, reproductive system. Everything will be present in the abdominal cavity. So in abdominal cavity, the upper left portion is occupied by the stomach, right? It is located in the upper left portion of the abdominal cavity, and it has 3 parts. Actually, it has 4 parts, I guess. It includes body, right? But according to the old NCERT, it is 3 parts: cardiac, fundic and pyloric. Cardiac is present between the junction, cardiac, it is a portion of the stomach where esophagus enters into the stomach, right? It is present beside the esophagus. So it is a cardiac portion. And fundic is the portion which is present nearer to the heart. So you should not be confused between these words, like nearer to the heart, cardiac portion is not present. Cardiac portion is present where the esophagus opens into the stomach, right? And fundic portion is present where the heart is present, okay? And pyloric is the region where the stomach gives a way to the small intestine. So near the small intestine, pyloric region is present, and In the center of the stomach is the body of the stomach. It is a fourth part of the stomach, right? So these are all about the stomach. The contents which is present in the stomach will pass on to the small intestine. So the small intestine contains three regions. The first region is C-shaped duodenum, and the second region is long middle coiled jejunum. Third one is highly coiled ileum. And after that, after the ileum, it opens into large intestine. Small intestine will opens into large intestine through the ileum part. The opening of the stomach into duodenum is guarded by this pyloric sphincter. The contents which is present in the stomach will enter into the small intestine, that is nothing but the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine, right? Through the opening called pyloric sphincter. Why it named as pyloric sphincter? Because it is present in the pyloric region. The pyloric region will open into the first part of the small intestine, that is known as the duodenum, through the pyloric sphincter. And the pyloric sphincter is also a muscular sphincter.